All right, let's see if this is actually working here. So it says my stream health is in the yellow range. That's not good. So let's see. Health. Okay, viewers may be experiencing minor issues. It says I'm live. Internet can totally see you now. To stop, use your encoder. All right, we're going to assume for right now that things are working. Can I? Let's see. Can I hear myself? All right, we're going to assume. Yes. Okay. Anyway, hello everyone. My name is George Lecakes. I am the director of the Rowan Virtual Reality Center, and today I'm actually streaming from work as opposed to home. And we're looking at a project I've actually been releasing several different videos on, and that is a concept piece for a physical exam room, or at least a physical examination of a patient. I'm working with a faculty member here at Rowan University, and the idea was to create this concept piece because the existing software is just too darn expensive and it's no longer free, and there's no support either, apparently, for educational institutions. So they came to us and said, can you just make something for us? And I said, well, yeah, we'll give it a shot and see what we can do. And they gave us this blueprint really quick. Let's see if we can load this up here. And where are you? There we are. So they gave us a blueprint of different things that you're supposed to do, checking the eyes, ears, nose, and neck. Now, this is an unfunded concept piece. Therefore, I'm not doing everything. The idea is to do just enough to kind of get people interested. And then from there, let's see, there's a light behind me. Let's see if we can. How dark does it get? That's better, I guess. Okay, we'll go with that. That way you don't have a giant glaring light somewhere over here. But anyway, so that's what I've been implementing, and the video series that I put up has been me actually creating the exam room. But I've actually gone a lot further. So we've created a series of different tools. So in this case, we've got an ophthalmoscope, I don't know how to pronounce that, an otoscope as well for the ear canal and the nose canal. Now, the person I didn't make. Once again, it's an unfunded project. Therefore, we're just using whatever I found on the asset store. I should say the students found. So they went on the asset store and found pretty much the most generic, bland model they could find, and that's what we're using in this case. It's fully animated in terms of it's got some basic stuff, nothing major. See, here's a student yelling at me about something. So my students are working with a HoloLens, and apparently they're unable to get things to work on it. I think Colin or Joe might try to give it a try. All right, you know what? That's not me. I don't care. So anyway, let's go ahead and finish this off. So what we'll notice is that I've actually started to add different objectives. So in this case, we go to Objective Manager. And the Objective Manager is very simple. There's not a whole lot going on with it. All it really has is, let's see, once it loads, it's just got a series of basically strings. Each objective is nothing more than a name and a description. And within that, we just create different objectives, and each objective gets ticked off as you complete it. And the objectives show up on the whiteboard right here as a title and a description. And then you hear a ding or some other indicator that you're actually moving through the objectives as you go on. So the ones I just added today before I started recording were change otoscope tip and view nair with otoscope. Nair, I don't know what, or the nairs, I don't know what that is. It's in your nose. It's stick a thing inside your nose and you see stuff. And then objective lymph node anterior, which is just touching the lymph nodes. And what you'll notice here is that we've got a series of different colliders at different places. And when the various tools intersect those places, such as the eyes or the ears, the nose, or the lymph nodes on the neck, we'll get a trigger and then we'll react based on that trigger. Very simple stuff, nothing terribly complicated at all. But what we do need to do really fast is we need a tip to change on this device, which means we need to load up Maya really fast. Let's just load up Maya LT, and we're going to cut off the tip of the otoscope right here and just place it on this bench so that you can put your hand on it, collide with it, and that's going to be the equivalent of replacing the tip for this object. So let's see. Let's hope this loads up. Here we are. So file, close that. Come on, go away. File, recent files, and we need, that's tool table blocked in. Let's do otoscope. Don't save. And there we are. So all we need is this tip. So to do that, let's frame up on it, right click, go to face mode, grab these faces, cancel, hit the F key, and we're just going to grow this out. This is really, let's see, grow, 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 grow. And that should cup inwards right there if we look at it closely, right? So now we can go to shift, right click, let's go to duplicate faces, hit apply, close. And all I want to do now is, so this is way too sensitive. Let's see if I can't grab that. So there's this, and let's deselect that. So there we go, now we have it. Move it off, frame up on it. Now this is probably a little messed up, but that's fine. Let's take a look at this from the side view. This is going to be better. Hit frame up, shift, click, and center pivot. Come on. Shift click, space, let's do this. F8, getting used to my laptop here. Space, modify, center pivot. It never does it on the first click, does it? There we are. Let's go ahead and rotate this 90 degrees. That's pretty close. There we are. That's perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and modify center of the pivot again. And then we might as well go to modify freeze transforms, turn off translate, and do rotate and scale. Now let's move this down here. And let's see. W, D, move this to the center here. D, move this to the bottom pivot there. Look at this from the side. Frame up on it. And just make sure it's centered on this side as well. Okay. Now that we've got that working just fine, let's cap the bottom. So we're going to take that and let's just do a fill hole. I'm going to take that hole now and let's go to UVs, planar, apply, wrong planar. Let's do the Y direction. And let's open up our UVs. And actually, I have no idea where my UV window is going to pop up because I used to have 3 monitors. And I guarantee you, it's someplace else right now. And I don't feel like restarting everything and destroying the prefs. So what we are going to do is we're going to just assume it's in the right place. That's something I can fix later on if necessary. I'm going to cut this up a little bit so that these all radiate towards the center. And that's just so that my triangulation isn't a giant mess. So there we are. We've got that. Save. So let's call this, let's go to edit, delete by type, history. And let's call this otoscope underscore tip, enter, save, and let's move this to the center of the world. So let's put that right there. Let's go to modify, freeze transforms, include translate this time, close, save, and let's go to file and export game exporter, find our directory, and let's see, let's go up to our GitHub repository, assets, models, and otoscope. We'll do that right in here. So otoscope underscore tip, enter. Okay, save that, choose that directory, and change the name to tip. So let's just do this, tip. Hit export. Export successful. Great. So now we just need to save this, come back over here, let it load up, and then find the otoscope tip, which should be right here. Now we need to extract, well, we need to replace the material. So we're just going to do otoscope, and I want this one that's already been created. Hit apply. And right now Google is going to give me some crap, so we're going to go ahead and quit backup and sync. And give that a second to close on down. This is always an issue. I'm going to cancel that for now. That's fine. And grab the tip, drag it over here, and let's see. It's way too small, so let's go over here, go to model, and just see if we need to, whoa. So we accidentally exported the entire otoscope. So let's nuke the tip, go back over to Maya, open this up, and find that tip, drag it out, File, Game Exporter, and what we want is selection. That's what I screwed up on. Export selection and export. Yes. Okay. Coming back over here into our room, we'll have to adjust the scale again. So let's see, did I leave that tip in here? No. So let's grab the tip, drag it in here. It's giving me problems with the material. We'll solve that in just a minute. And the tip, let's do a factor of 10. Apply. Now that's still way too large. So let's take a look at our otoscope and see what our scale is. And that's our scale, which is ridiculously small. So let's go ahead here and go with the scale of 1. Actually, it's probably, you know what, a scale of 1 might just work. So let's see here. Whoops. We might even embellish the size and make it larger. So let's see. So it's picking up all of the lighting stuff. That's all the lighting crap, and it's actually getting in my way. So let's go ahead and nuke the light probes. There we are. Yeah, that's too small. So we're just going to scale that up a bit so it's easy to grab. And I am letting things float slightly above. It's not incredibly important. Now let's come over here to the tip. So we've got our mesh renderer, and right now it has, where are the materials? So it looks like the materials are getting blocked out. So let's go over to our tip, materials, change it to otoscope. There, hit apply, and there we are. So now we've got the tip. Let's just go ahead over here to add component and do a box collider. There we are. And let's add a tag to this too and create a new one and call this otoscope tip. Save. Let's see. All right. So now that we have the tip, all we need to do is rig this stuff up. So when we collide with this, we're going to have our Oculus Rift hands, these things, the touch controllers, and they're going to intersect the object. The object is then going to have a script on it, which is then going to report back to the objective manager that it has been hit. So if we come over here to our objective manager, we can see that change otoscope tip is right there. Therefore, we're going to want a function that we call that's going to be called something similar to that. So let's just do public void change otoscope tip, and all we need to do then is check to see whether or not we're busy. We don't want to do anything if we're currently doing something. Busy is there because I have coroutines that may possibly be running on some of these, and I need to make sure that I'm not constantly hitting the same objective over and over and over again, which could cause us to falsely move through the objectives. So that's why we have the busy check. And what is going on with my phone? Let's see. So we have toggle lights. So we're going to check to see if the objectives. So we want this line right here. If objectives current objective.name is equal to whatever the name is of the objective we're currently on, then we're going to do something. So let's do this, and then we're going to inc our objective. And all that incrementing the objective does is we scroll on down or up, wherever it might happen to be. Inc objective just increments the current integer value for our current objective, checks to make sure that we haven't gone over the number of objectives, so we're not going into accessing memory that we don't have. And then it plays a successful bell sound, indicating to the player that, yes, you've done a good job. The reason for the bell is because if you look at the world, a lot of times the player is doing something else, like they're looking up the nose of the character or whatever, and they don't know they've succeeded. Therefore, the bell lets them know, hey, take a look at the erase board or the dry erase board and get your next objective. All right, so we've got increment objective going on. That's going to work just fine. Now, did we add our objectives to our objective list? So this isn't the best way to do things, but it's working okay for right now. So we have use the scope there, use the checks on the ears, and then we're going to have to add our objectives right here. So we'll do objectives.add, and we will add, I think 3 objectives is how many we're adding this time. So let's come up here. So we've got check right ear, check left ear, and then we have change the tip. So let's do change tip, and then we'll do view nares with otoscope. That's the next one. And then we have objective lymph node anterior. So we're also going to be checking the lymph nodes of the patient. And that's very simple. All we're going to do is make sure that the person has touched both of, let's grab the patient, both of these side parts of their neck. This is actually a more elaborate procedure than this, but once again, it's a concept piece. We just need to show that, yes, you're doing the right thing in the right sequence, or you're at least fulfilling the objective. And that's all that we matter, because it's unfunded at this point. Once it's funded, then we'll get to, okay, touch this part, touch that part, touch the next part, and so forth. Once again, that's when you have money. If you don't have money, then you get the basics, and then hopefully by showing this to people, you'll then go off to make something out of it. So anyway, so we've added our objectives. Now we just need to make these objectives actually work. So the one we were looking at was change otoscope tip, and that's going to be under change otoscope tip. So if we're not busy, and if our current objective is equal to otoscope's name, notice here that because I'm using strings, the names have to be unique. Once again, not the best way of doing this. A better way might have been using enumeration, or possibly just providing a unique index to each of the objectives, so that I'm not using a string, which could potentially be a bad idea. But anyway, it's also slower, but it's fine. I could also do that string not equals, but that doesn't matter. So we increment the objective if this has happened. So what triggers this to happen? What we need now is a script that's going to be attached to the object that we touch, which is the otoscope tip. So let's go over to our script folder, and here you can see all the different ones we've got going on right now, whenever it wants to load. And then we've got, let's do change otoscope tip. Otoscope tip. I think I spelled that right. Open that up. Let me see what my emails are, so I'm not ignoring anyone at work. And okay, so change otoscope tip is going to be almost the same as all these other ones where I'm doing a test. Literally, in previous ones I had, like for the otoscope test or the ophthalmoscope test, I have a left and a right eye to make sure you're doing the right eye, but it uses one script. Let's see here. All right, that's not important. Private on void on trigger enter is all we need to do. So let's actually just move this to the side, and we can get rid of these. Paste this in here, and on trigger enter, we just need to check to see whether or not the right thing has hit us. And for the tip, I guess it should be the hands. I guess the idea is you picked it up with the hands into the replacement. We're not actually going to go through the whole sequence of popping it off and replacing it. Once again, that's a lot of steps that are something that I would worry about when this was an actual funded project. So other.compare, and we want this to be, I think it's just hands is the tag. Let's do a quick check by grabbing anything, and it looks like we have hands. Okay, so if any hand touches this object, then we're going to do objective manager instance dot change scope, and we don't need to pass anything in. So that's it. So that's going to tell us, hey, it's hit it, and now change the otoscope tip. The otoscope tip in the objective manager is going to check to see whether or not it's the correct objective that's currently enabled, and if it is, then we increment to the next objective. So now we just need to do the same thing, except we're going to do it for the nasal passages and the whatever these are, lymph nodes. So once again, it's going to be very easy. We're going to right click, create C# script, and let's just do nasal test. And I wish when it did that, it would open the file up at the same time. That would be nice. The video will be uploaded in YouTube later. This is a live stream, so everything gets recorded. And it's actually recording right now. So it should be up as we speak. You should be able to scrub through it at any point in time. Let's see here. So nasal test, let's go ahead and delete all of that. And we are going to grab this as well. And we're going to do a left and a right for the nasal. So let's just do nostril. And we have left and right. And then we'll do a public. Not that it needs to really be public, but public, nostril, and nostril. And let's do next a on trigger enter. And we are going to check to see whether that, let's see what our tags are really quick. And we have a nose. So we'll do a nose tag now. So nose. If it's the nose, then objective manager dot check nose. And then we'll pass in the nostril. And now all we need to do is go over to our objective manager, put that over here, and we have a check eye, which is going to be almost the exact same thing. So I'm going to grab that code and paste it again. And instead, this is just going to be, and actually I should do, let's just do check. Let's call it nostril to keep naming conventions good. So now we have check nostril right there. We need this to take in the nasal test dot nostril and call this nostril as well. And let's go ahead and say if not busy, let's check to see if our nostril is equal to nasal test dot nostril dot left or nasal test dot nostril dot right. There we are. And then we just need to check to see whether our objectives are with that. Now, let's go up to our objectives. I don't believe I differentiated between the left and the right nostrils. So let's go. So we just have change otoscope tip, check the nairs. So we could just do a Boolean value and see whether or not both have been checked. But why don't we just go ahead and split that into two separate ones. So let's do objective view nairs with otoscope right and left. Check right nasal nairs and check left nasal nairs. And then using the otoscope, check the right nair. I don't know if nair is plural or not. We should probably look that up really fast. So let's look up if nair. I'm writing nair and I'm probably going to get the product, right? Or is that not how you spell it? So nair. Naris. Singular of nairs. Nostril. Nostrils or the nasal passage. All right, so we are going to call it a nair. So let's do right nair and left nair. Check the right nasal nair and the left nasal nair. And we are going to need to make this change down here as well in our objectives. So objective, nairs, objective, view, right. And technically the order shouldn't matter. And I could program this to not matter, but it doesn't matter for me either. So we're just going to let it be as it is. Okay, so check nostril. We check to see the nostril if not busy, if nostril is equal to the right nostril, and objective is currently equal to objective view right. And then we want to copy this and do left for the next one. Then we increment the objective. Simple as that. No other changes really necessary. Okay, so next up, we've done the nostril. Now we need the lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes are going to be a little bit different. Am I getting more emails? New award. What is this? Yes, I know the deliverable says 419. That's why the 18th is so important. Jeez Louise, whatever. Okay. Lymph nodes, that's what I was on. So let's go over to our project, right click, create new C# script, and let's do a neck lymph test. When my computer wants to work, neck lymph test, enter, double click, open that up, and now we have the neck lymph test. So all we need to do is copy the same, behavior as the nasal test. There's going to be a left and a right, And really, I mean, technically, I don't need so many of these. I could have just created a class that's like left and, or not class, but a enum that's just left and right and had everyone use the same thing. But for some reason, I'm decided to make separate ones for everything, which is really unnecessary. But we'll change it when there's funding. Okay, so we can get rid of both of these. These don't matter. And all we want to do is grab our onTrigger event. And we also want a, it doesn't need to be public. I don't know why I'm making it public. Let's just call it, let's just do neck lymph. And inside of here, we're going to pass the neck lymph, which one, whether it's right or left. And in this, we're going to do check neck lymph. Let's copy that name, come over to our objective manager, and it's going to be just like the eye and the nostril. So we're just going to do a public void. And once again, because it's just like the other ones, we probably, and if we were doing just left and rights, we probably could just create a single function that would do all of this stuff. But in the future, these are probably going to do different things once we expand the capabilities of everything. So it's not bad. I'm future-proofing it. Let's call it that. Yeah, that's good. So let's do neck lymph test and neck lymph. And we're just going to come down here, copy all this code, paste it, because right now it's going to be the same thing roughly. And then we'll do neck lymph. And instead of here, we're going to do nasal test. So this is going to be neck lymph test dot neck lymph dot right and left. And then we check the objectives, but we are not directly incrementing the objectives. What we want to do is to see whether or not both of these have been touched. So coming up here, we're going to do a bool left lymph check. And actually, yeah, you know what? It's fine. We'll do it this way. There's other ways of doing it, but this is going to be the easiest. So we're going to have both of these. And coming down here, back to our function, our method, inside of here, if not busy, if this is being touched, and if our current objective is going to be equal to objective, what is it, check, what is it, neck, lymph node anterior. We're going to do that. And we're going to get rid of this function, this part of it. And if this is our current objective, what we want to do is if this is the right, so actually we're going to flip things around a bit. We're going to do, if this is our current objective, and we have touched the right side, then we're going to say that the right lymph checked is going to be equal to true. And if it's the left side, we're going to do the same thing again. If neck lymph dot blah 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 is left. Now hold on a second. Neck lymph. That's neck lymph is equal to neck lymph operands. What is this? Neck lymph. We have right and we have left. What is neck lymph? Oh, dot neck lymph. There we are. That should go away. So we'll set them equal to true. This should be pushed over. And then we need to do a check to see whether or not so why is this indenting? Am I missing a, let's see, where does this continue? All right, let's finish this and then we'll, and this should actually be left lymph. Now that I look at it, there we are. So if right lymph checked and left lymph checked, then we are going to increment our objective. Now let's see here. So that ends that if statement. This ends. Now why do I have an extra one, don't I? Let's get rid of that and see what happens. There we are, much better. So this goes to there. That goes to there. That's much better. Formatting is correct now. Okay. All right, so with that, we just need to attach these scripts to the right places. So let's go over to our player, our European female _02, and put these in the right places. So we're going to go under the armature, so we're attaching these to the actual rig so that as she moves, the rig will move these pivot points as child objects. And let's go to, we have lung, we have heartbeat sensor, none of those are important. So let's open up neck, and we have lymph right and lymph neck, or left, and then we need neck lymph test on both of these. Oh, you know why I made those public? Let's just do serialize field. There we are. Okay, now down here I should be able to select which is which. Once it loads, come on, load on up. You're not saving for me? Serialize field. There we are. So here's the right one and here's the left one. And let's just make sure it's doing the right thing. Everything's good there. So those are the lymph nodes, and they are also named neck lymph. So we don't want this to be nose. We want this to also be the tag neck LYMPH. Save. Okay, opening up the head now. So we have the eyes. Now we have the nasal right and nasal left, which is just the tag nose. So coming over to the nasal test, we are checking out nose, and let's make sure those components are correct. So neither one of them has the nasal component, so let's do nasal test on both. There's right, and there is left right there. Save that. And now, I believe, we're about ready to do some testing here. So let's see. This doesn't have anything on it, though, yet. This needs the otoscope, this change otoscope tip script. So let's put that on here. And there's nothing else that's necessary, but this does have, the otoscope tip is untagged. I want to tag that. Let's go over to the otoscope tip here. And all it's doing is checking to see if it's hands, and then we're going to change. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, I could check to see whether or not you're holding the otoscope, but it doesn't. We're not going to get that stringent at this point. All right, so before we do a quick test in Oculus, I'm going to just make sure that I'm not neglecting anything. Okay. That's not ignoring anything, and that's not ignoring anything. All right, so let's grab the Oculus, which we have right here. So let's actually come over here really fast. Just do this, move that over there for a moment. There we are. And hit run. Let me grab the controls. Where the heck are the controls? There they are. Okay. Okay, so introduce yourself. Hello, patient. How are you doing today? Take a moment to talk to the patient. Introduce yourself. Press A to continue. Wash hands. Please use the sink to run water and wash your hands. All right, so let's... Okay. Move to and touch the Snellen eye chart to begin the patient test. I don't know if you can hear this because it might not be directed towards my computer, but I am hearing her do the letters on the eye chart at the moment. Once again, she's not animated, so there's no voice, there's no lip movement or anything. It's a default stock thing we got from the Unity Assets store, so none of that stuff's in here. When we get funding, we will create our own avatar, or I should say I'll create it, and then we'll be able to do all this stuff naturally. But just not today. So I don't have the stethoscope hooked up yet, do I? Nope. Okay. All right, so dim the lights to begin the ophthalmoscope procedure. So we dim the lights. Things are a little bit dimmer in here now. Although some of these need to be baked probably, like this thing right here. So that's the problem. Pick up the ophthalmoscope, whatever. All right, and put it on the patient's right eye. So the patient's right eye is my left. So I put it on their eye, and you'll notice I can actually see inside the eye, although the quality is a little low because of the VR glasses. And then we do it to the left eye. I can see it right there. I'm going to put the scope down. Once again, it's going to float. I don't have gravity on. I'm probably going to have it snap back to a location as soon as you let it go. So what do we do next? Turn on the lights. Okay. Check right ear. So this is all new stuff. I don't know if this is going to work. So, okay, so the Z-axis is flipped on this, so we're going to have to fix that. But what should happen is, so the right ear is over here. We put this, so that's not working. Let's see if it's the wrong side. Nope, it's not working. So there's our first glitch. Checking the right ear does not work. So let's find out why. That's going to just kind of float there. Okay. So we've got warnings. It looks like there is one error, and I'm hoping that error is what's wrong with the actual game. So I call it a game. This is not really a game. Let's turn off the warnings. Here we go. That's not me. That's a student's stuff. That's not my problem. So here it's telling us all this stuff. So what we need to do is dive into this person's head and go to the armature, spine, and find the right and left ears. So there they are. So we do have the otoscope, and one is labeled right and one is labeled left. They do have box gliders. However, you'll notice that they are not triggers, which is what we're testing for. And most likely, none of these, oh no, wait, you know what? Those are triggers, so that's okay. These were not triggers. And the lymph nodes are also triggers. So, okay, so my little hiccup right there. Let's go ahead and rerun this and see what's happening. Can I move my mail somewhere that I don't have it on the screen? There we go. Have to remove from the web server which is hosting the files. So we have some old files that Google is linked to on my computer, and we got to get rid of them. Okay, so let's do this again. Hit run. Let's grab the Oculus and the touch controller. What time is it? 1:12. I've got a meeting at 2:30, so I got to be careful on time here. Okay. So actually, is this? All right, so I think I've added audio. Let me try this one last time so that you can actually hear what I'm doing. We're going to tone
Hello and welcome to the Rowan Graduate Health Assessment Simulation.
Yeah, there we are. Now you can hear the audio.
Of the necessary steps required in
Okay.
performing a physical examination on a standardized patient. Always look to the whiteboard for your current objective. Upon completion, it will automatically display the next objective. You can interact with the world using the controllers in your hand. To pick up instruments, use the trigger button on either hand. Other times, you will simply need to touch objects to activate them. Now let's begin the virtual assessment.
All right, hello, patient. Please use the sink. I should know all these. Move and touch the Snellen eye chart.
E, F, P, T.
So there was an interesting bug because I was using a coroutine and I didn't check to see if it was busy, or I could keep clicking this over and over and over and over again, and you would go through all of the objectives without doing anything. I found that out when people were testing it, which was kind of awkward.
F, E, L, O, P, Z, D, D, E, F, P, O, T, E, C, L, E, F, O, D, P, C, T.
Good job. All right, dim the lights. Boop. Pick up the scope. Whoop. Right eye, left eye. Put it down. Lights. Check the right ear. Let's see if this works. So once again, we got to flip this in Maya. And that's not working. Does this have a collider on it? Let's... Whee! Oh, there's no collider on the... Whoops. Okay. We're going to want to fix that, don't we? Okay. All right. So let's see if we have colliders on objects. That's the first question. So the otoscope has colliders. They're not triggers, which is fine. It does have a rigid body. And I believe all that's set up correctly. It's the same setup as the other one. That means the otoscope, let's see, this has an otoscope script on it. Let's double click that and open it. So this has otoscope. So we have on trigger enter, and we have ear. Do we have this tagged as an ear? We have ear right. So the ears are untagged. So that's part of the problem. So now that those are tagged properly, when this collides, we'll be doing this comparison right here. It will then change the texture, so you'll actually see the inside of an ear canal, which is good. And then we'll do that same thing over here. When you remove it, it'll go back to it being a null texture, so you don't have to worry about anything, and the emission is going to be black at that point. Okay, so that should be fine. Now the otoscope is actually, we need to update the otoscope. We might as well do that really fast right now. We're not going to program everything, but we do want nasal, what is it called again? This thing, the nair, how about just nasal passage? So what I did off camera is create the following texture. So let's go under otoscope and textures, and we have the nairs texture, which is just a photo I found on one of the doctor websites on Google of the inside of the nose. Apparently, isn't it gross? I think. Wait, no, that's not the nose. I got the wrong thing. That's the inner ear, isn't it? Hold on a second. Let's look up nairs and see if I screwed this up. So nairs, otoscope. I believe. Yeah, okay, I think that's what I got. So this says ear, nose, and throat. So that looks a lot like an ear to me. You know what? I'm going to let it be for now. I will let the doctors tell me that I'm wrong when I show this to them. Yeah, I'll let the doctors tell me what's... Ugh, some of these are gross. All right, warning, everyone. Gross crap that you already saw. So we've got the ears set up. The next question is why the Objective Manager didn't get updated. So the Objective Manager has nothing to do with this being triggered. Instead, that has to do with if we go to the scripts, the otoscope test being placed on the ear pieces. So we have ear right and ear left with the otoscope test right there. So when that should have happened, and those are triggers, so the object clicks or hits that, void on trigger enter happens, this occurs, test if otoscope, and this is labeled as an otoscope, correctly? No, it's not. Okay, so we've got all kinds of problems. So now that tag works. That should now trigger the Objective Manager, which will be over here, and then that will cause check ear to get fired, and check ear, Control F, check ear is right here. It'll check to see if it's the right ear. Objective, check ear left, check ear right, right, left. All is good there. So let's give this another go. What do you say? So hit run.
Hello and welcome to the Rowan Graduate Health Assessment Simulation. This proof of concept is meant to test small portions of the necessary steps required when performing a physical examination on a standardized patient. Always look to the whiteboard for your current objective. Upon completion, it will automatically display the next objective. You can interact with the world using the controllers in your hand. To pick up instruments, use the trigger button on either hand. Other times, you'll simply need to touch objects to activate them. Now let's begin the virtual assessment.
Hello. Goodbye. Wash. Let's see if I can do this without looking. All right, now we got to do the Snellen. Good job.
E-F-P-T-O-Z.
Don't want to lose it.
L-P-E-D. P-E-C-F-D. E-D-F-C-Z-P. F-E-L-O-P-Z-D.
That needs a collider. Or ceiling needs a collider too.
F-P-O-T-E-C. L-E-F-O-D.
Oh, you know what? The otoscope's not going to work. The on trigger's the problem. That's the issue. All right, I know. Let's just do this really fast and make sure it's not going to work. I know what the problem is. That drifted pretty far, didn't it? Yep. So this won't work. I guarantee it. Oh no, actually the ears will work. There we go. So there, you can see the inner ear right there. That's gross. Go to the other side. Really gross. Change the otoscope tip. Hey, that worked. Using the otoscope, check the right. This will not work. I guarantee it. Check the right. And check the left. Yeah. So this isn't working because I only have one function. It doesn't know the difference between the two. So that's kind of funny. Okay. So my glasses keep coming off in the Oculus. So let's reduce the size of my face for a second here. And open up Maya again and make some quick changes to things. So the first thing we want to do is flip-flop the otoscope around. So there's the otoscope. Let's do a 90-degree flip this way. So that's 180. And let's go, actually, you know what? Yeah, so let's do this. 180, enter, modify, freeze transforms. And we're going to do freeze on everything. Save that. File, export, game exporter. We're going to browse. We want this to just be otoscope. Export, save. Okay. Come in here. That just flipped around. Excuse me. That just flipped around. So that should now work properly. Right? Yes, that's Z forward. That's Z forward as well. They're both on local. And let's do pivot though. Okay, that's fine. So we fixed that. Now we need to fix our code on the otoscope test. And the issue here is, so we have the ear fire, and then we have the otoscope. And this part here doesn't know how to differentiate between the ear canal and the nasal passage. So depending upon which one of these it hits, we're going to have a different test. So we'll do an else if, and we'll do this. We'll also do this as well. Else if, and we're going to do another other.compare tag here and here. And instead of ear, this will be nose. Right? It is nose. Nose, yes. Okay, so we're going to do nose. And if it's nose, we're going to grab all of this nonsense, paste that there, grab all this nonsense, paste that there. And this is going to be the same. It's going to make the texture blank. It is going to make the emission map null, and it's going to set the emission color to black. Now this, though, on the hit up here is going to be, instead of main text, it's going, let's see, we're going to do, let's see, hold on a second, else if, so we have set textures, main text, ear canal. Okay, yeah, instead of ear canal, it's going to be nasal passage, and then what's also going to be nasal passage for the emission map. So that should now change that properly. Now what's still not working is if we go over to, let's see, what we want is we have otoscope test for the ear. And then there should be nasal test. And this is the problem. So this isn't checking to see if we're touching the nose. This is checking to see whether or not the otoscope is touching that piece of the nose. And then it's doing the check nostril. So that should be it for fixing that problem. And that error is really starting to bug me. I want to get rid of that pretty soon. But anyway, what time is it? 1:24. All right, so soon, in 30 minutes, I've got to drive to Camden for a meeting. So let's try to finish this up by then so I can call this quits.
To the Rowan Graduate Health Assessment Simulation. This proof of concept is meant to test small portions of the necessary steps required when performing a physical examination on a standardized patient. Always look to the whiteboard.
I hate that sound I make in that video. I got to cut that out of the audio as well.
Using the controllers in your hand. To pick up instruments, use the trigger button on either hand. Other times, you will simply need to touch objects to activate them. Now let's begin the virtual assessment.
Hi, person. I love you. Let's see. Sync. Boop, boop, boop. And Snell and eye chart. Boop.
E, F, P.
Let's see if this works.
D, O,
there we go.
C, L, P, E, D. P, E, C.
Oh, that's interesting.
D.
So that doesn't change?
E,
Did I screw something up? There we go.
C, Z.
I got to really get it in there, don't I?
F, E, L,
There we are.
O, P, Z, D.
It's like stabbing her brain.
E, F, P, O, T, E, C. L, E.
Now, technically, this should be working even without... Oh, there we go. It's not the right texture. You see that?
C, T.
The textures aren't set up right. I don't... You know why? The texture's null. That's why it's not working. So we'll fix that right after this. Boop. 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 Okay. Boop. Check the right in there. See, these colliders are really small, so I'm probably going to have to change how that works. Come back here. I think I tapped it. That's why. Stick that right there. I do need these to snap back. Check the lymph nodes. Okay, this one's, oh, geez. All right, you go there. You go there. And let's check your lymph nodes. Okay, this isn't working, so we'll have to figure out why that's not working. I believe that her lymph node's like right here. So I should have dinged them by now. Okay, so that's it. So let's figure that out real quick. Okay, lymph nodes. Lymph nodes. Lymph nodes, what is your problem? So we've got lymph left and lymph right, so neck lymph. And those both have lymph test, and we have right and we have left. Right? And they're both neck lymph. So we come over here to neck lymph test, and recall, so hold on really fast. So just make sure they are both triggers. And we come over here, and neck lymph, check neck lymph, which we're going to load over here. So that is spelled correctly, right? Neck, L-Y-M-P-H. Okay, so then we have this test. So if not busy, if our current objective is equal to objective lymph node anterior dot name, which I believe it is because otherwise it wouldn't show up on the board, if neck lymph is equal to the right one, which comes from here, then right neck lymph is equal to true. If neck lymph left is equal to this, then the left one is equal to true. If the right lymph checked and the left lymph checked are both true, in this case, true and true, then we increment the objective. Otherwise, we do nothing. All right, so nothing here is really jumping out at me as being wrong yet. is the current objective set up properly? So let's come up here and make sure we added it. So we have objective lymph add, lymph node anterior. And let's see what the size of the colliders are on the hands really fast. So these are, I'm going to artificially move these apart a little bit, I think. So let's kind of put this a little bit further over. She's got that like really tight collar going on, so I'm going to just kind of push them a little bit apart. So now when I select them, they are definitely apart from each other. They both have a sphere collider, and they both have the neck lymph test. So let's hit run, and I want to see where these lymph nodes actually fly to. They might be under the wrong thing.
Hello and welcome.
So if we grab both of these and go to the scene view, they're still in the right spot. So that's not the issue. Okay, so let's dive in and see what we can do. And let's do another test really fast, okay? So let's grab the Oculus, throw that on.
Interact with the world using the controllers in your hand. To pick up instruments, use the trigger button on
grab our controllers.
Other times, you'll simply need to touch objects to activate them.
And run through these objectives really fast. I need a goodbye sync. Boop, boop, boop. And Snell and eye chart. Do that.
F P T
Let me see.
O Z L P E.
So I still gotta fix that texture.
P E C F D E D F C Z P F E L O
Don't collide.
P Z D.
All right, hurry up, lady.
E F P O T E C L.
You done yet? Where are we at? L
D
E F O D
P C
P C T. Good job. Okay. There we are. Right eye, left eye. Stop. Turn on the light. Check the ears. Ear 1, ear 2. All done. Switch the thing. Grab this. Shove it up her nose. It's like I did both accidentally. They're so close together. I'm going to have to separate them. Okay. Change. Did I change this already? Check the lymph nodes now. All right. So something not catching here. It's got to be something with how I'm ending things together. Okay, turn that off. You have neck lymph right and neck lymph left, and the neck lymph test, and they're both triggers. Both of these are set. This is set. We set this. The only thing I can think of is this is getting fired once. I'm not continually checking it. So what I should probably do is take this statement here and move this into my case statement down here. So we'll do a case, and then break. And inside of this, we're going to do all the code. So inside of here, we're going to continually check to see whether or not this is the lymph node test by grabbing this string right here. Not exactly the best way to do things, but it's going to work. And we're going to paste that right here. So now when we get to check current objective, when we get to this particular objective here, we will then be constantly checking to see whether or not the right lymph checked and the left lymph checked are true. You know, let's just make this dumb proof equals true, and left lymph checked is equal to true as well. Should be the same thing, but we might as well just be stupid about it. Left and right lymph checked. Okay. All right. You know what? I think I want to add a way to skip ahead of the current objective. So what I want to do is under the objective manager, there should be a, let's see, where's my current objective? Current objective. Let's do this as a serialized field. Great. And we are going to set our, and then that's our current objective. This all happens. This stuff happens. Awake occurs. What is this? This is just whatever. We do start. Start adds all the objectives. And then we do the current objective here and the current objective right there. Okay. So that means I can come over here and I can artificially change our current objective to be something later. So let's go to our objective manager. And instead of it being current objective 2, I'm going to change this to current objective, let's say 6. I don't remember which one that is, but that should be several steps in. Let's do 7. 7 should be good. Now let's run it and see what happens. Okay, Oculus on.
Hello and welcome to the Rowan Graduate Health Assessment Simulation. This proof of concept is meant to test small portions of the.
So we're still going to hear that because it's on a coroutine,
on a standardized patient.
Which I should remove now that I think about it.
It will automatically display the next objective. You can interact with the world using the controllers in your hand. To pick up instruments, use the trigger button on either hand. Other times, you'll simply need to touch objects to activate them.
Good.
Now let's begin the virtual
Good.
assessment.
Oh, come on. It was busy. That's what happened. Change the otoscope tip by touching the tip on the tool stand. Oh, no. Come back. I don't need you anymore, really, but okay. Check the neck. All right, let's do the neck. Goodbye, tools. So what is it about these colliders? That it just doesn't like? What is going on with this crap here? So let's take a look at our neck really fast. I'm doing something really stupid. I can already tell. So let's open up here and go to our rig. Let's see, not our controller. We want the character. So let's go to scene view and grab her. Come on. And find the rig. And so we have the neck lymph right and neck lymph left. So if we move these just to something that's proven to here, I'm not noticing any kind of swaying that's going on. Whoops. So let's actually move these to here. So that looks like that's still in the wrong place. We want to do it to head. So that still looks like a fine place based upon her skittish movements. We have the sphere colliders. We have the check lymph. Are these labeled as hands? With hand 1 and hand 2 under the OpenVR camera rig tracking space. We have left, so those are labeled as hands. Now do we do neck lymph test? This is the problem right here. So this should be hands. That's it, to trigger the event. So with that, everything should actually be fixed at this point. So let's go ahead and just increment. Let's fix a few things really fast. So the first thing we're going to fix is, come on, hurry it up, is the otoscope. So if we go to the otoscope, we'll have a none nasal passage texture. So we're going to go under our textures really fast and find the nares one and stick that under there. That's going to fix that issue. Now that'll show up properly. And the next thing we're going to fix is, I think we want to fix this coroutine for the objective manager. So under the objective manager, I believe I just start playing the intro audio, when in reality, the intro audio should only be played when you enter into the first objective. So the objective, so here's the objectives right here. So let's just do if, the easiest thing to do is if current objective is equal to 0, then we'll play the intro audio. Otherwise, we're going to bypass that completely and that won't be an issue from here on out. So clear that off, hit run, and with any luck, this will be our final run, and I can get to some of the other work that I have to do. Okay, so it looks like it's skipped ahead without playing, so that's our first fix, so that's good. And there we are. So what do we have to do? Turn the lights on. So first off, then on. Check right ear. Just do this. We also got to adjust the size of these things because they're definitely not perfect. Change the otoscope tip by touching. I can't. Oh, jeez. Stay there. Using the otoscope, check the right nair. All right, so this is touchy. There it is. And that is the right texture. Hold still, darn it. Check the neck. Okay, now let's do this. Okay, those are way too big now, the colliders. So I'll have to, yeah, you have completed the simulated exam. So these now need to be smaller. I think the hands need to be smaller. Let's take a look at how big they are. Jumping around to the OpenVR player and the right hand and the anchor. Let's go to scene view and there we go. Well, they definitely need to be moved back towards the center of the hand, I would say. And I would decrease their size substantially. So if we come here and go to our sphere collider, and I guess the z-axis, come on. Whoa, there we are. So something like that, and then 0.06 maybe? Maybe even 5. And then maybe y. Come on, you can find it. No, y needs to be 0. What about x? Come on. Okay, so I'm going to take this now and copy these components, turn this off, and paste these components as values. Okay, and let's go over here, 0.05, enter. Okay, so with that, things should be better. Now, the only thing that's breaking right now is not my code, but it's the student's code, which is this null reference exception, which is press to body. And it's saying, what is it saying? Object reference not set to an instance of an object. So that's not it. Where? Play music start. So somewhere in here is their crap. I think they just stuck it on play music. Yeah, this script here, this is gone. So we're just going to remove this, and I believe that'll be fine. I think I've completely isolated that script from the entire project. So let's just hit run. Oh, no, let's stop it. Let's do from the very beginning the whole thing. So coming up to the objective manager and going to current objective, set that as 0, save, and fingers crossed that we're done. So let's hit run.
Hello and welcome to the Rowan Graduate Health Assessment Simulation. This proof of concept is meant to test small portions of the necessary steps required when performing a physical examination on a standardized patient. Always look to the whiteboard for your current objective. Upon completion, it will automatically display the next objective. You can interact with the world using the controllers in your hand. To pick up instruments, use the trigger button on either hand. Other times, you will simply need to touch objects to activate them. Now let's begin the virtual assessment.
All right. Hi, bye, hands. Snellen.
E F P T O Z L P E D P E C F D E D F C Z P F E L O P Z D D E F P O T E C L E F O D P C T.
Good job. You have 2015 vision. All right. Don't need that. Okay, those are still too easy to do, so I'll have to change the size. But, whew, that's it for today. Great. Okay, so that's all I wanted to do with working on this project, so to speak. I think I'm happy with where things are at the moment. We've got enough objectives to show what can be done without spending a tremendous amount of time developing our own avatar and other stuff. So I've got, what is that, 15 minutes before I have to go anywhere? So I'm probably going to spend my time off stream taking a look at either this book, Extending Unity and Editor Scripting, or this one, which I really love right now, is the Black Game Engine book. No, this is not a paid promotion. I'm just telling you what I'm particularly reading at the moment. This one's fun if you are as old as I am, which means you are 35 years old, and you grew up with Wolfenstein 3D and the Doom engine. I have the other book as well. They're pretty fun to read and see how they did what they did. But anyway, I will see you all next time. So long and goodbye.